Hey guys and gals, this is Alex Olson with Xchange Commercial Real Estate here in Kansas City. And I just wanted to highlight the different submarket classes. We talk a lot about Kansas City as a whole, as a market in a whole, and then we also talk individually about submarkets. And there are several key submarkets around Kansas City. We can go as granular or as wide as we really like, but Kansas City isn't really what I would classify as zip code town or a true city town. There's a lot of different small cities and then combined cities that are out in the suburbs that make up different parts of the submarket. So what I've done here is I've actually mapped out each individual submarket along with the class that is associated with it. And for this map's purpose, the yellow and the yellow shaded areas are what we would consider B submarkets. And the blue is considered C submarkets, and the green is considered A submarkets. So reverse, we've got A is green, yellow is B, and blue is C. So let's dive in a little bit closer into the major submarkets. I'm going to first zoom in into really more of the core of the metro, and that's really what this map is showing us right here. And so let's take a look at the inside part of the metro first, and we'll work our way out. And of course, downtown, which is this submarket here, is Class A. Certain parts, and this is downtown Kansas City, Missouri. And then as you continue to go down south, this is Midtown. This is also considered Class A. We've sold a lot of property there in recent years. And skipping back here to downtown, we did just close a fourplex in the Crossroads at a very hefty price tag on a per unit basis. Anyway, here's Midtown, often talked about. And then we also have the Country Club Plaza. As we zoom in here, we talked about that a couple times in the last few weeks, but that's also A. And then we have Brookside, UMKC area here. You'll hear us talk about that from time to time. There's not a ton of multifamily in that area. And then Waldo, similar, not a ton of multifamily there in Waldo. And this is what many of us would classify as the urban core here, downtown all the way through to this part here. And this really is where you get into more of a suburban feel at times, but this particular corridor is just east of Troost at this part. And this is B area. Over here, Center High School area. This is B. You got Burns & McDonnell, large engineering firm headquarters in Kansas City. That highlights a lot of the urban core. And then this here, this B area, is often what I'd classify as east of Paseo to 71 Highway. And this is a very fast gentrifying area. Prices are increasing. There's a couple opportunities actually to buy over here near the hospital, which is very lucrative if you can get in at the right price point. So that is B areas here. And same thing for here. This is where the Kansas City Jazz District is, 18th and Vine, some barbecue spots. There's been opportunity zone in this area. So this corridor is B. This corridor downtown, urban core, is A. And then as we move further east, this is C. This is the historic Northeast, which we have several properties available for right now. That's a C class submarket. This here is also heavily C class submarket. There's probably a mix of some D in here in specific pockets, but I didn't really want to get into that because it truly is a block by block basis. and we can revisit those as those deals come up. In addition, here we have south of this line here, but north of 435, this is Bannister Complex. This is a C neighborhood. However, with the intermodal and other different blue collar workers, this is really propelling forward. It's still C, but just wanted to highlight that there is jobs available down here. And then down here into the Grandview market, this is also a strong C market with a lot of economic development going on with more blue collar jobs. You can see Martin City here, but this is Grandview, heavily dominates here. Raytown, which we've sold quite a bit in the past, is a very strong C market, just outside of the C markets of the urban core. Then we have Independence, which is a large city in the metro. There's over 100,000 people living in this city itself. Very, very, very strong C market. There's also some B properties and B markets, submarkets mixed into this area as well. Usually pretty good opportunities there. As we continue to go east, we get into the Lee Summit area, which again is a very strong A market. Population of 50,000 in 1995, and now well over 100,000 in 2020. Blue Springs is on a similar path, where now then this whole area here is a good 70 or 80,000. Blue Springs, Oak Grove, and Grain Valley in this corridor here, we often call East I-70. And so that's an A market. A market, Lee Summit just said. Raymore, peculiar A market. Not a ton of homes down here, but Raymore is growing all the time. And this is an A market. Belton is B, A, B, C. There's a mix of a whole bunch of different things in that, but that's a strong market for those interested in blue collar. The further east you go here towards Raymore, of course, the more I would consider it a market, and certain pockets of it could be considered a C market, but really that's true with almost every submarket. So that is a lot of the metro here. There's 500,000 people in Kansas City proper, which also includes some parts above north of the river here, which I'll get into in a second. But I did want to start here, which is Jackson County, the largest county, which I just covered. All of these submarkets here, even out to Lone Jack, is all Jackson County. Very large county here in the metro. So you've got A, downtown and urban core, Midtown, Plaza, Brookside. Then it switches over to more of B. This is Pendleton Heights, east of Paseo, so to speak, down here around the large engineering firms. And then you go east, and this is all C with Grandview, Raytown, and Independence. Maybe some mixed in D here with historic Northeast. Then continuing east, we have A submarkets of Blue Springs, Lee Summit, and Raymore, with Belton, Pleasant Hill, Lone Jack area being B. Some of that's because they're very small in nature. And so there's not a ton of economic development going on there, but they are supported by the city as a whole. Further down south is Harrisonville, very similar. These kind of 2-3 areas are on the outskirts of the entire metro. And so the economic development is not strong, but it's pulled in by quality of living and the metro as a whole. So that's Jackson County and Cass County, the southeast corner of the metro. I want to focus on the Missouri side still and come here what we call north of the river. Okay, and there's two counties here. There's Clay County, which is kind of this dividing line east, and then there's Platte County, which is this dividing line west here. And you can see here is the Missouri River as this runs through here. That separates Missouri and Kansas here. and then comes to downtown and branches off into other counties. So what we usually call north of the river is this area here. You've got North Kansas City, Gladstone, Platte Woods, Parkville. This is what I would consider in general an A submarket of Kansas City. And we've transacted in all different parts of this submarket. But it's got excellent school districts and is in high demand. A lot of new development there. Just a bit east is the Clay Como and Ford Motor Company plant. And this is a lot of blue collar. It is a very strong C market here. Worlds of Fun is in here. And it's a good working class market. We have had some deals there in the past recently. And up north is Liberty, town about 30,000 people, excellent top school district, one of the best suburbs in the city as well. That's an A submarket. Have on occasion deals to be had there as well. So this area here, again, just to kind of highlight before I get even to the north, east, and west part of the metro, but this is a lot of A submarket, very fast growing in North Kansas City here. And then this little pocket of C over here north of the river in the Clay Como area. Moving further north, again, getting into the further reaches of the metro, but this would be B submarket. You've got the airport, Platte City, Weston is if you're driving down I-29, Kearney and Excelsior Springs. This is all B, mostly due to the fact that the towns are relatively small and not driven by large economic development. However, we all know the airport is, a $2 billion airport's going live here in next year. So very popular with both residents and investors up in this area, even though it is more of a B working class market, but not really C submarket. So that takes care of literally the entire state of Missouri within the Kansas City metro. So the Missouri River runs down through, the property line, the state line runs in through down here and pops out over here. And this is the Missouri side of the metro, highlighted again. Yellow is class B, green is class A, and blue is class C. Okay, so that takes care of the Missouri analysis of the submarkets. Let's hop over into the Kansas side. It's a little bit easier because the Kansas side has a large county as well called Johnson County, and it's actually larger than this green swath here. However, this is true A plus area. There are some A minus or B markets in Olathe and maybe some up in the Merriam area close to the close to the Wyandotte County line. But this is Johnson County, the heart of most expensive real estate in the metro. Lenexa, Overland Park, Shawnee, Olathe has some, Craig, etc. The county itself actually extends down into this yellow area. However, these are relatively small towns and not quite as expensive as this. So I wanted to delineate between those two areas. So again, this green is class A, this yellow is class B for the submarket. As we move a little bit north here, we have, this is strong class C. There's probably some class D in here, but this is Kansas City, Kansas, and Wyandotte County. You'll hear us talk a lot about those. In this little pocket here is Strawberry Hill, which is becoming a class A market, pretty expensive on a cost per unit, good rents, great views of downtown Kansas City, Kansas, and downtown Kansas City, Missouri. So it's an exciting growth spurt for Kansas City, Kansas. As we continue to move west, like I said, this is class C. as we continue to move west out here, we got Bonner Springs, we have the Kansas Speedway, outlet malls, etc. More rural setting. This is Class B with a mix of some Class A in there and likely some Class C as well. So it's just kind of a mix out west. As we move up and to the northwest side of the metro on the Kansas side, again, this here is the Kansas-Missouri border, and you get into Leavenworth and Leavenworth County, and a lot of what's there is driven by the military base. It's a quite large military base, and does a good job of keeping officers there as well as trainees there, and that's an economic driver in and of itself. So that's a B class, working class neighborhood up here in this submarket. And there's not a ton of people that live up here, but this corridor here on the outskirts, again, just like on the Missouri side, is more of a B class neighborhood, which usually means a little bit more affordable, might be slower appreciating, but is not going to have some of the crime issues that you can get in some of the C markets in here at times. But in general, the C markets are in this eastern side of Kansas City proper and Independence, Raytown, down here in Grandview, most of Kansas City, Kansas, in Wyandotte County. That's the C markets. They're going to have the most value. There's gentrifying areas in all of those. As we spread out, we have some B markets here in the urban core areas. And then we have the suburbs, which are these green, and that's highlighted as the A submarkets: Blue Springs, Lee Summit, Raymore, Peculiar, Johnson County, Overland Park here, Liberty, north of the river here. And then the B markets that are just great places to live from suburbia, not economically driven by local development, but supported by the metro as a whole. And that's the whole outskirts over here. So that really concludes the market overview, sub-market overview of Kansas City. If you have any other questions, please reach out. It was great to highlight this for you. I look forward to hearing from you more. Again, this is Alex with Xchange Commercial Real Estate here in Kansas City, and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great day.